This new breed will soon become the majority of hourly, unskilled workers in this country. In the next hour, we are going to get to know 4 of them. They are like thousands of their contemporaries. Not all dislike their jobs. Not all are unhappy about the way they live. But what these 4 think and say reflect the feelings of many of their generation. If you are over 30, some of what you will see and hear may offend you. But this is what they have to say and what they are doing, and this is worth knowing and trying. How do you find your way in America in 1972 if you are under 30 and unskilled? If your illness and your old age are cared for, but not the boredom of your job?
My job is a very repetitive job. I do this 8 hours a day, the same thing. 51.
I work at 6:30 in the morning, and I say about 9:30, I'm tired of the job because it's so boring. So I tend to piddle around and do other things that I shouldn't do.
How many of those tires do you put on in an hour?
Well, there's about 50 cars an hour, so I guess an average is, say, about 140 tires an hour.
For an 8-hour day and an 8-hour day?
Yeah.
You don't like your job?
No, I don't.
Why do you stay in it then?
It's a job.
Ed Wojciechowski, 23. He is saving his money to buy 160 acres he knows about in the Canadian wilderness. Gary Lappin, 27. He drives cars off the assembly line and dreams of running a fish farm, or sometimes of becoming a hermit.
I've driven cars where the steering wheels came off of my hand. I just put the steering wheel back on and drive the car.
Do you report to a foreman what's wrong with a car like that?
It's not my job to report.
This is the Ford plant at Milpitas, where Gary, Ed, Willis, and Joe work, making Pintos, 50 cars an hour, 450 a day. 3,275 people work here. Last year, they built 188,421 cars and trucks. The plant, by any standard of measurement, is a marvel of efficiency and ingenuity. It is simple. Eliminate choices. Eliminate the need for skill. Eliminate the need to think. Make the men as much like machines as you can. Noisy, boring, mindless, but efficient. Last year, American assembly lines built 8,700,000 cars. But other people have learned how to build cars on the assembly line. Building cars, tried by Volvo, Toyota, and others, have not been found acceptable by American car makers.
No, I'm afraid we don't have any solution. It's some measure of their appeal. All I can say is that we're working vigorously at looking at alternatives. But it seems to me that the fact of the matter is that there's a certain amount of work that is, in a mass production industry like ours, inevitably repetitious. I suppose in a theoretical sense, you could take a car and say, here are the 20-some thousand pieces, and give it to an individual and say, okay, your task is to build this car and in as many hours as is required, working at with whatever assistance we can give you. Now, perhaps at reasonable prices.
But the new breed no longer accepts the old logic or the old ways. Their fathers lived by a work ethic they have never known, conditioned not by affluence, but by a depression and by the American dream of getting ahead. Their fathers worked to make life better for their sons. They are the sons, and they do not find their lives better. They see the security for which their fathers struggled so hard as a trap for them.
Most of them really have a high school education. I would say the vast majority of them have high school education. And I guess they take a look at that assembly line or some other jobs, some other simple jobs, so to speak. And I would imagine they wonder to themselves, well, you know, how am I going to use my high school education putting a wheel on the car and putting 5 nuts on the darn thing and doing this day in and day out? What? They'll just walk off. They'll rebel.
Example, last weekend he worked Monday through Friday, and he worked 8 hours Saturday, worked 12 hours Sunday. That's really killing the guy. You know. He doesn't mind it though because he gets the money. That's what differs between him and myself. You know, he's always after that money, or I don't care.
You don't want to stay at Ford for 30 years.
Oh no, I couldn't picture myself living there. Doing that for just a pension. I couldn't see that.
You've told me how you feel about your job. How do you feel about the union?
The union, they're not doing their job, I don't think.
But hasn't the union done a lot to raise your wages and improve your working conditions?
Well, that's in the past. I want to help improve that place now, and the union will not listen to me because it is run by a lot of older people that don't want to listen to us. You know, that's the whole thing. They just don't want to listen to us. They ignore us.
Do you want to get rid of the union?
We can't do that. Then the company would definitely take over us then, and we, looking back in the when Ford's first started, like when my grandfather was working for Ford's, he couldn't even get off the line to take it.
So you're the third generation in your family working for Ford.
Yes.
I don't like working at Ford. I just don't like to work. I sort of feel trapped when I'm there. I've been working there for 5 years, and it seems I can't quit.
What would you do if you could?
I've always wanted to be a lawyer. I went to college for it, but then I dropped out. 30 years from now, I don't want to still be sitting on that iron horse counting cars. I like to quit now.
But you don't quit. Have you ever done anything to a car when you felt angry?
I dropped a few cars off the iron horse, and I banged a few doors. I put a few cars on the wrong line.
What do you mean, dropped a few cars?
I dropped them off the iron horse, rolled them off, and they dropped to the ground.
Do you take quite a few days off in the course of the year?
Quite a few.
Might you lose your job for that?
No. I've been written up because they say I've been disrespectful towards a foreman, but I wouldn't lose my job.
How come, having been written up and with all those absences, you rate such an easy job?
It's because I was wounded in the war, and my leg is messed up, so they gave me an easy job.
What drugs have you used?
Well, I've smoked grass, I tried heroin, I tried cocaine, hash, red.
Did you use drugs at work at Ford?
Yes. Like at lunchtime, we used to use drugs. We smoked grass sometime. Smoked a little grass. Most of the time, we would just go out and drink a lot of alcohol. Then we would go back to work. The biggest day was Friday, when everybody got paid.